I think we're rolling. Nick Einach with Champ U. I got my Champ U shirt on here. And this is one of our first Facebook Lives with Champ U. It's a chance for us to get in and talk to you directly about what we've done with this Champions University curriculum. And it's an online school that we started with the 4 core basic Champions habits. So as we get into this, hopefully this is all working. We'll get into this idea that Champions University, Champ U, was started because we have a simple goal at YCRS. At the Champ School, we'd like to teach more in less time. And we have a 2-day school, and those of you who have been to the 2-day school know how much we cram in there. I mean, it is started at 8 o'clock, and the first night we're not done till 8 in the evening. And then on second day, it's the same thing. It's pretty rapid fire. And for people who are relatively new to the idea, some of this stuff is a bit overwhelming. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Many riders have said that. Wow, I that first morning, man, it was a lot to take in. So we started doing a lot of videos on Facebook and Instagram, and we started to put these good. Thank you guys. Thanks, Jesper and Dave. Thanks for tuning in. Glad you hear me there. So we started doing these videos on Facebook, and we did it for a couple of reasons. One is to get people prepared for the in-person schools that we do, and the second reason for doing so many videos on Facebook that you've seen over the last year and a half, 2 years, that was definitely a move by us for this specific reason, and that is to offset some of the things that you hear out there. And so many of us, I'm 60 years old, and so many of us, certainly of my generation, learned how to ride a motorcycle from our fathers, our brothers, our uncles. There were no schools, not until Reg Pridmore, Keith Code, some of these riders started these schools. And so, Danny, good to see you. So we learned in some ways the hard way. We learned a little bit from trial and error. And some of the errors were pretty bad, I think it's fair to say. So this trial and error idea that got us all to be riders also caused a lot of people to quit riding. And so the idea that we need to offset some of this information. And I've got a lot of documentation from some of our students and some of our people that support us, some of the things that are being taught out there. And we don't name names. We don't throw any barbs at any other groups, but we do talk a lot about technique. And we get these ideas that we do all our braking in the straight line before we turn in. That's being taught. We get ideas you cannot use your brakes in a corner. That is being taught. That's actually in a curriculum. Do not use the brakes mid-corner. Set all your speed before you get to the corner. And if you've done a bad job by setting your speed mid-corner, then you've got bad judgment. So all these things and more came together about 2 years ago for us to say, listen, we've got to do some pretty serious stuff on YouTube and get it onto Facebook, get it onto Instagram, get it on these sharing platforms. So that's what stimulated. You saw a couple years ago we started really saturating YouTube and Instagram with these riding techniques, and they're based on what the best in the world do. And so if you're thinking to yourself, well, geez, Nick, you didn't win a world championship, and neither did Chris Paris and Mark Schellinger and all the boys. That's true. We did not win world championships. Some of us won national championships and are still winning at the national level. But what we have done is we've emulated the world's best, and in our own writing, in our own teaching, we do what the best are doing. And for you graduates, I appreciate everybody checking in. By the way, Mr. Thompson, Major Thompson, good to see you, and Danny Sullivan, it's good stuff. So what we've done is in the back of your notebooks when you come to the 2-day school, you'll see all these quotes from world champions and national champions, Rich Oliver and Kel Carruthers and all these incredible motorcycle riders. And those comments in the back of the notebook are what we base our school on. So for all of you who are hearing different messages and have been helped by Champ School's YouTube and Instagram and Facebook videos, we have put together Champ U. That's Champions University. And the idea here is to sip a little bit of coffee. The idea here is to meet the two problems with Yamaha Champions Riding School. The two problems with Yamaha School is, number one, it is not inexpensive. And it points to why there are only a couple of large schools, us and California Superbike School, nationwide schools. And the reason is because the overhead is so high. It's insane the kind of money you have to spend for track rental, insurance, ambulance, food, all the things. And for us, in our case, and I think others as well, but in our case, we're spending money on instructors because you can't show up to a school and be unimpressed with the instruction. You can't show up to a school and be faster than the instructors. You can't show up to school and say, when you go home, say, boy, you know, what they were teaching me was different than what I see on TV. What they were teaching me was different than what the instructors do when they race. So what we've done at Champ School is we have spent significant money on exceptional instructors and significant money on training exceptional instructors. And so that is the primary reason that Champ U came together, because if you can't afford to come to Champ School in person, how could we bring this to you? Because that addresses the second problem that we heard about in our surveys is, okay, first problem, it's expensive. We understand that. Even though we have one-day programs that are very affordable, the second thing is you've got to travel generally to get there. And if you don't live near one of the tracks that we run, then you've got to fly in, get a hotel, get a rental car, rent a bike, all these things. So the idea behind Champ U, Champions University, this online school, was twofold. A, it's affordable. B, we ship it right to you. You get a link and it gets shipped right to you. The link that you get, the code that you get to get online and get on the school, is good for the rest of your life. And until we quit business, which I'll talk about in a minute. We have a pretty good plan to not quit doing what we're doing. So this Champ U idea is a chance for us to bring you our 2-day school online for an affordable price. So we've got, boy, thanks for clicking in. I'm not reading these too carefully because reading and talking, man, that's just too much for me. But the idea behind the price, we did a lot of beta testing because we've put at least 1.5 years into this, into Champ U. For last 1.5 years, we've been shooting, editing, fine-tuning, producing a delivery system. And for the last, I would say, 4 months, we've been in beta testing. And thanks, Ryan. We've been beta testing, and beta testing is basically pre-production testing. We've been sending it to not just graduates, but also to new riders who have never been to the school. And for the first time at Pit Race last week, we sent Champ U to all of our students that were going to take the 2-day school, including a 15-person Bosch engineering group, and which was a great test for them, test for us, because they are so critical and such critical thinkers. And so the idea behind beta testing was, is this, number one, does this help riders? Number two, is it what they need? And number three, is the delivery system working? And after all this beta testing, we kept fine-tuning. We have a team in place led by one of our owners, Lamore Shore, in marketing, also a tech genius. Alex Hatfield has jumped in. Allie has jumped in. I won't say her last name because I think she moonlights for us. And this group, Keith Culver, is very high on the tech side of things. And all these 4 riders and friends of ours and workers for us have jumped in to fine-tune Champ U. So at this point, we've got a product that we launched on Wednesday at 4 o'clock, and it has been very successful so far. A lot of interest, a lot of good feedback, and we continue to fine-tune. So that's Champ U in a nutshell. I'm getting people writing in saying they've already started it, they like it so far. Champ U is fantastic so far. Thank you for making it happen, Shin. We appreciate that. That means a lot to us. It means a lot to us that you buy it. But it brings me to the idea of our pricing. And so when we're doing beta testing, we would send this to people, And of course, we sent it to our instructors and we asked them to please go through it and fine tune, and they did. And we got their feedback and we kept tweaking it and tweaking it. And of course, one of the questions we had is, where do we price this? And it was quite an internal debate. And we've got pricing from anywhere from $300 to $1,200, and it was based on the fact that our school is very expensive. The information is really good, according to graduates, and we should price this Champ U very high. And we talked a lot about that. And Chip Spalding, one of our main guys, he's our new business development manager, expert level racer, like every one of our boys and gals ride at a high level. And Chip really dug his heels in and said, no, this Champ U has to be affordable. It has to reach the masses. It has to be available to someone in a country where they're not making a lot of money. It's got to be available to someone who doesn't have a lot of money. They don't have a brand new bike. They don't have all the gear. They bought a used bike. They love the sport, but they can't afford big time stuff. And so we put it at $50. It's $49 and change for $50. And boy, did we hear about that. A lot of people were like, you guys are idiots to give this away at $50. But we all got behind Chip's idea, and we really believe in this idea that it's got to be affordable. It's got to get out to everybody, and it has got to be something that helps motorcycle riders. Because if we don't improve riding technique, riding instruction, riding safety, riding enjoyment, if we don't improve riding will not grow at the level at which we think it can grow, at the level at which it grows in other countries with better riding technique introductions. So our idea was, get this out to as many people as possible. Get it out to your sister who's thinking about riding, right? Not riding it, doesn't even own a bike. Get it out to her for $50. Get it out to the expert level road racer who has done a lot of track days. They've done some road racing. Their lap times have plateaued. Anybody out there like that? Lap time has plateaued. The enjoyment's plateaued. You're still getting beat by the same people. The same people are still beating you. When you try to push more, you fall down. And you're like, wow, this is a lot of fun still, but not really. I'm not really digging it anymore. Champ U is to meet those riders as well, because we will show them in Champ U some of the little bitty things they're doing wrong to improve themselves. So really good. Edgar, thanks for writing in. I mean, Edward Chick, appreciate that. One of our graduates. So anyway, appreciate everybody writing into this deal. The idea to talk about Champ U is based on the idea that we need to change things in this country, and we need to change things in this world. I've got some good friends in Ukraine. Kenny Kay, who is one of the interpreters for this scientific study group, and they're led by a real enthusiast motorcycle rider, and his misunderstandings of motorcycling are on a similar level to someone who's taught by their uncle. And so as we got into this and started to get to know them, we started to realize, boy, there's some misinformation all around the world, especially about brake usage, especially about how your speed affects radius. So as we got into this, we started to realize, boy, there are some countries who are very well trained. I mean, I think some of the European countries have exceedingly good training because we've done things there, and the riders are at a very high level. But in America, we need to improve that, and that's what we're trying to do. I hope I don't sound like I'm throwing stones, because that's not my purpose. I realized taking a non-rider and making them into a rider is a very difficult process, and what we have done at Champions Riding School, a lot of you don't know that we are a Tier 3 Motorcycle Safety Foundation class. We're the only one in the country. We went to the MSF and said, listen, we'd like to help you. We'd like to get on board with you. We'd like to keep tweaking your message. We'd like to be next in line for your graduates. And so we're the only Tier 3 MSF school in the world. A lot of you didn't know that. And it's because we have this interest in growing our sport by growing the level of instruction. And Dave Lemer, Dave Lemer writing about the mom jokes. Yeah. The mom jokes in Champ U got kind of carried away, didn't they? But it's what happened. So who knows? I don't know. We kind of thought that was funny. All right. Yep. Shin, practice group, same as us, right? He's running a practice group. to reduce accidents, and that's our push. And it gets to this idea that I was just referring to, is that if we can grow the sport by improving the riders. And so right now we do these big meetings and we say, okay, what do we have to do to grow the sport? Oh, we need more traction control. We need to have all bikes with ABS. We need to have wheelie control. We need to have we need to limit horsepower. We need to make helmets mandatory. We need to make riders go through a 5-year process of learning to ride. All these ideas out there. And one of the ideas that we have at YCRS is, how can we grow a sport if we're hurting all the new people? That's a pretty good question. How can you grow an industry if all your new members are not enjoying it? So if a new rider leaves a new rider school and they don't feel confident to ride on the street because they've learned in a parking lot, it speeds up to, I think, 28 miles an hour, 23 miles an hour. If they don't feel confident on a motorcycle on the street, they don't become a rider. They don't buy bikes, they don't buy tires, they don't get a license, they don't become one of us and get into it. So what we're hoping is they go through the new rider schools of whoever teaches them, goes through the new rider schools, and then they buy Champ U and they fill in some of the things that the new rider schools can't get to in 2 days. They fill that in with Champ U, and we hope that's happening. That would be ideal for us. For some of you out there, I should say for all of you out there who have this interest in riding technique, and you agree that by improving riding technique, we grow the industry, more new riders stand safe, more new riders enjoying themselves, because you quit riding for 2 reasons. One, you scare yourself right out of it, if not hurt yourself. You go across the center line a couple times. When you try to keep up with your friends, you can't do it. You can't get your bike stopped when the light turns orange because you haven't practiced correct braking, which is a big part of Champ U. It's our longest class in Champ U, is how to practice braking, what to practice, and how to do it. So you quit because you scare yourself or possibly hurt yourself, and your family says, don't do that anymore. We can't afford it, and we don't want to lose you, and it scares you. The second way you quit the sport, in what we've seen, is it's no longer fun. You're doing track days, but you can't get out of the B group, and everybody who is quicker than you stays quicker than you, and everybody who's slower than you stays slower than you, and you run around kind of by yourself, and those guys pass you, and those guys you catch, and you can't get into A group because when you go faster, you run off. The fun is out, and your bike is still in the garage, and you're still a motorcycle rider, but you aren't riding your bike. So those 2 things: scare yourself, or you quit having fun. And that's what not only YCRS is trying to do, is change those things, make you extremely safe and increase the enjoyment tenfold, if not more. And that's what Champ U has done, hopefully in your own home, on your own time, for only $50. So all of you, Shin, and all you, Dave Lemer, I know all you, Scott Miller just wrote in about the streets. Let me see that. Yeah. He hopes Champ U will encourage 2 things: inspiration to learn, increased demand for track access, because we're dying on the streets. We'll talk about that, Scotty. Thank you for writing in. Shin, for all of you who are interested in improving riding, and I know you have a love for it. If you're teaching the wrong things, then of course you're going in the wrong direction. If you teach a new rider that it's okay to get off the brakes before they turn in and they shouldn't trail brake, then of course as they go quicker or ride their friend's faster bike or go downhill in a canyon they've never been to before, they hurt themselves. And if you're teaching don't cover the brakes, if that's one of the things you teach, don't cover the brakes, because don't cover the brakes, don't ride like this in traffic. You teach that, don't do that because you're a new rider and you'll stab the brakes. Of course, you're teaching the wrong thing, because they're only going to be a new rider for a very short time. So our belief at YCRS and at Champ U, which you get right from the start, as soon as we start, we teach you at this level of, we're not teaching who you are now, we're teaching who you're going to be. And that is such an important point for all of you out there teaching, is make sure you're teaching at a level and the information that will get them through the rest of their career, not through who they are now. And it gets us into, thank you. Jim Whittam, thank you for writing in. I will definitely pass this on to all of our veterans through Vet to Track, talking to Jim about doing some cool things. And we started this thing called Champion Certified Coach. Have you heard of that? 3C Champion Certified Coach, 3 Cs. Yeah. See? CCC. Good. So Champion Certified Coach was a brainchild of. I can remember sitting at the hotel with Lemore Shore, Chris Paris. We're all sitting around thinking, how can we? Hey, Joey Clark writing in. Wish I had this when I started. A way to lower the barriers to entry, guys. Thanks, Joey. 4-time class champion up at MRI, one of our instructors, so that's cool. So we're sitting around the motel room, and we're thinking, how, we got to do more. You know, we're reaching 1,000 riders, which includes Marines and street riders. We're reaching 1,000 riders a year. That's great, but we're expensive and we're hard to get to. So what do we do? And we got this Champion Certified Coach idea. And we started to bring in these people like John Harris, right, John? Champion Certified Coaches. We put them through a 6-day program. We drills. They have to pass tests. They have to show full knowledge, full ownership of the information. They get videoed. Their video laps have to be very good, very fast. Not very fast, but very good. Quickness helps. And that's called Champion Certified Coach. So that was maybe 4 or 5 years ago that we've got a feeling like we got to spread the message. And of course, now it is morphed into Champ U, which is Champions University. Jonathan, nothing in Houston. The closest we are to you, my brother, is Indy Motorsports Ranch. That's INDE Motorsports Ranch. It is the best kept secret in motorcycling. It's about an hour south of Tucson, so we got a lot of Texans coming out. You can bring your own bike if you want, or fly in to Tucson, rent a car, come down an hour, and ride one of our bikes. I think it's $400 to ride one of our bikes, and we do the 2-day school there. We're going to have mini bikes there pretty soon. It's crazy. And for anybody who's been to Indy, before it was repaved, it's been repaved, and it is on par with Pit Race, Laguna, all those. You see Alex Hatfield throwing up the Indy Motorsports Ranch information. And the idea here is to talk about Champ U. If you have questions, obviously you're welcome to write in. But it does morph into Champion School. It does morph into what we believe so strongly in. And one of the main aspects of Champ School, Champ U as well, is this idea that we're bringing in these top level instructors. And Roger Hayden is now one of our guest instructors, superstar instructors. Scott Russell would come in. We've had Elena Myers, all these national winners. And one of the points that I have to make about these top level riders that come in to help us is a question: how long would they stick around Champ School if we were teaching the wrong things? If we were teaching something that Roger Hayden wasn't doing to win Superbike races, to be a national 600 champion, if we were teaching things that Chris Paris wasn't doing to be 6-time WERA heavyweight national champion, that Kyle Wyman, superstar instructor, wasn't doing not only on his Panigale to be top Superbike rider, podium finisher, but also to be king of the baggers, right? To jump on a bagger and be king of the baggers in the inaugural bagger series. If we weren't teaching the things that they were doing, how long would they stick around? And you can ask Kyle Wyman, how many times have I walked up to Kyle and said, Kyle, is what we're teaching what you're doing? And we talk about it. And I just went racing at Laguna Seca last week, 2 weeks ago, racing ARM at Laguna Seca. So we have skin in the game. We are putting our butts on the line, and if what we're teaching isn't what we're doing, then we got to change what we're teaching. So if you've experienced that at other places where you go to the school and you get taught some things that just don't make sense, they're not what you see on TV. Even when you watch Moto America Supersport, which is production bikes, supposedly, but anyway, production bikes on good race slicks, if they're not doing what you've been taught, you've probably been taught wrong. And this is what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to chase. And this Champ U idea is to get it out. See it there? Champ U on my massive chest. Good. Champ U idea is to get these ideas out to as many people as possible. The second thing that you can ask about your riding instruction would be this. Do you know from the instruction that you've had, and I'm not beating up other places, I promise you, but I'm upset about what's being taught in America, and I'm so upset that I continue, when I say my group, Champ School, continues to tweak our message, talking about how we do head drop when we're on the track. And we used to get our head dropped in too soon and have nothing left for the exit. So now we've changed that. We've said let's slow down that initial head drop. Let's save something for the exit. That's based on conversation with Kyle Wyman and Chris Paris and Isaiah Davis and Louis Ferrari, all these top level riders that teach for us. Cody Wyman. Let's save a little bit of there. And so now we're watching Quartararo. We're watching him pinch the fuel tank with his inside knee, with his butt off during braking. Have you seen that? He gets his butt ready early, like we teach, and when he sits up, his inside knee's not out. His inside knee looks like he's pinching the fuel tank. So now we're starting to tweak that into our program. Every one of our students does the Rossi leg dangle at the schools we teach. So the point is, we keep tweaking our curriculum because we've got to meet what the best in the world are doing. And if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, well, okay, that's great. I'm not a road racer and I'm not doing track days. Street riding is our main focus right now. Street riding, we probably have 50% of the students at Champ School, our 2-day program, are street riders, never done track. And of course, we do Champ Street, we do Champ Mill, all the street riders, because as one of our writers wrote in, that street riders are dying the most. There's going to be 1,000 street riders die before one track day guy dies. So street riding is what we're focused on, and that gets into these practices. And if you go to a class, and Major Mark Thompson wrote in, how long would Headquarters Marine Corps stick around if YCRS wasn't teaching essential skills? And Mark, that is fantastic. Mark is one of the people who we met through traffic safety with the Marine Corps. Now we're one of the leading providers of level 3 Marine Corps, and we'd love to do it for Army and Air Force and all the rest. And we're ready to do it because we're changing lives. Yes, Tom, Dominic, so your curriculum evolves with the sport. Absolutely, our curriculum evolves with the sport, and since I'm still racing, and I think, the huge majority of our instructors are racing, we want to win. Is that fair to say, all you racers out there? You want to show up, you want to win, and who would like to never fall down again? So those two things show up. You can show up and go slow and never fall down, but that doesn't meet some of our personalities. You can show up and go really, really fast and be to the front, but fall down all the time. That's not going to work out either. So this idea, Tom, that we're always tweaking our curriculum and tweaking what we're doing. And I know at Laguna Seca, I was playing with that Jimmy Felice line at corner entry. He won the Grand Prix back in the day. And so we're always tweaking on things, and one of the funny points is Keith Culver, one of our main guys, one of the owners, he's our CFO, also our operations manager, great guy, supermoto champion in California, just, going, hauling ass. Keith Culver says, Nick, you got to write down the curriculum. You got to write out the curriculum. And I've told him, Keith, I'll write out the curriculum, but it's going to change next week. It's going to change next week because we got to get better. We got to do something and go get better as we go. So back to the point of if you've taken some instruction, and they don't talk about the two places that street riders are dying most frequently, and this is based on Major Mark Thompson's work with the Marine Traffic Safety. We're dying most frequently on motorcycles by running wide in corners. Did you know that? We're running wide in corners. And that is one of the main topics of conversation in Champ U, which we just launched. If you just showed up, Champ U, right there. And in Champ School. And we're running wide in corners for a couple of ideas, for a couple of reasons. Sorry, I was reading Tom's. Yeah, if you're not first, you're last. All right. He was drunk when he said that. But anyway, you're running wide in corners for a couple of reasons. Number one, you aren't controlling your speed into the corner because entry with brakes on, I'm going front brake, but rear as well, but mostly front. Sport bike riders, almost all front. Cruisers, touring bikes, sport touring bikes, weight in the back, more rear, but mostly front. If you're not controlling your speed into the corner, you're not controlling your speed with your brakes, but also your front tire contact patch, the size of the rubber on the ground going in, and your steering geometry going into the corner. If you're not controlling your speed in the corner, then you will run wide as your pace increases, or the corner's tighter than you thought, or pick your excuse, right? You're on your friend's bike and you accelerated longer than you ever thought, and you're in too fast, and you can't control your speed. And if you just tuned in, I've already referenced that there are riding groups out there teaching get off the brakes before you steer, and off the brakes, forks rebound, bike wants to run wide. If you're going slowly, it'll work. But there's a lot of personalities out there. Certainly, every personality that teaches for me, and most of the personalities that show up at our school, they'd like to go quick. They'd like to enjoy the motor in their motorcycle, and we can only enjoy the motor if we absolutely understand braking practice, and trail braking practice, like we're teaching at Champ U and certainly at Champ School. Every one of our students stops their bike mid-corner at our Champ School programs. Champ Street, Champ Mill, all the things that we do. Stop your bike mid-corner from highway speed. And if you can't do that, you'll be another victim of a rider who runs wide in the corner into the guardrail, or running wide in the right hand or across the center line into oncoming traffic, and etc. So if you've run wide in a corner across the center line, which most of us have, we are just super lucky there was not a truck there to kill us. So if you aren't being taught how to fix this problem, how to fix by the people you're taking lessons from, that's a mistake. Number two place that we're dying, the second place we're dying most frequently, and the place we're crashing most frequently is intersections. And a lot of us knew this. A lot of us know, yeah, intersections are dangerous, but Mark Thompson's study with the Marine Corps said that it's not controlled intersections. So as we approach a red light intersection, stop line intersection, those are not the most dangerous. I think they're maybe 4 times more dangerous than riding by ourselves. And but Mark showed us the places where we're dying the second most frequently and crashing most frequently is uncontrolled intersections. And that means you're cruising along and you're coming up to a small side road that has a stop sign. You're cruising along, you're coming up to a driveway that doesn't have a stop sign, just a driveway coming on the road. You're cruising along, intersecting roads without traffic control. Those are called uncontrolled intersections. I found this out myself. And that's the place that we're getting in the most trouble. So if you don't know that from previous instruction from other groups, I think they're making a mistake. I think they need to let you know that you're running wide in corners and dying and crashing and dying in uncontrolled intersections. So if you realize, if you've been taught to ride like this is my throttle hand. If you've been taught to ride like this in traffic, in the canyons where there are deer, on the freeways where people can slam the brakes on, do all sorts of crazy things, at night when there's elk walking across the road, if you've been taught to ride like this is one reason that you'll be hurt in an intersection. And you'll be in the hospital saying, it wasn't my fault they pulled out in front of me, but in fact you were riding like this 1/2 second away from any slowing. We teach you and we insist that you ride like this in traffic. You ride with your fingers covering the brake lever, and that's a huge part of Champ U. As Kyle Wyman pulls away to show us radius equals miles per hour in Champ U, we stop him. If you haven't seen it yet, we stop him. We say, Kyle, stop. Why are you riding like this? And we get into this idea that if you're a 1/2 second late to the brakes, your bike travels towards the problem, and a 1/2 second at 60 miles an hour is 44 feet. And of course, by the time you get the brakes on, 44 feet later, you grab them, snap on the brakes, and hurt yourself. So if you're not being taught that, if you're not being taught that you're dying in these back roads by yourself, running wide in corners, or crashing in intersections, then you need to maybe come see us and take Champ U. And the second part of the running wide in corners gets to, okay, you're not trail braking into the corner, but you've been taught to accelerate through the corner. You've been taught to, when in doubt, throttle out. You've been taught you should be braking or accelerating. You've been taught to turn in on the throttle. All those were wrong because radius equals miles per hour. And if you're going, well, radius equals miles per hour, what does that mean? That's exactly why you'll be hurt on a back road. You'll be hurt in an intersection. You'll run wide in an intersection and hit the pole by the gas station because you don't understand radius equals miles per hour. If we're building our mile an hour, our radius opens at the same lean angle. And that's what gets into it. And this is what Champ U is doing, hopefully for you, and hopefully Champ School is done for all our graduates. All right, got a lot of people writing in, really enjoyed it. Here's a writer, Joseph, wrote in, said, man, I really enjoyed being with these guys, enjoyed the environment, the curriculum, I absorbed so much, but much more to learn. I definitely recommend YCRS and Champ U. Keep it up. Thank you, Joseph. That means a lot to us. Aaron Herman, I love the school. Aaron, we love you too, so appreciate that. And we got a good thing going. And it gets back to this idea that how can we teach more in less time? How can we reach more people? How can we reach the people in England who have written, I love what I'm seeing on YouTube. I love what you guys are putting out. I love the Facebook videos, the Instagram videos, but I can't get there. I can't afford to get there. I can't leave my work. How can we do this? And this is why we put together Champ U. And Champ U is us assembling all these ideas and getting them across to you, including hats. So that's the idea behind Champ U. All right. Want to touch on a couple of the ideas that we have people writing in. There's a thing, and this is something new for a lot of you, apparently. Not you, of course, because you are enlightened to be listening to this, but there's a thing called customer service. And it's an old-fashioned notion where you show up and you pay money for something and you spend your time somewhere and you get the product. Have you heard of that? It's a customer service thing. It's kind of a crazy idea. And we realized a long time ago that we are not a motorcycle training school. We are a customer service school that teaches motorcycle training. And this gets into some of these ideas like Joseph wrote in, Aaron wrote in, David Lemer wrote in as supporters for a long time, is that they got what they needed. And Edward Chick, how do we get a Champ U hat? That's a good question. I think that'll be available on the Champions Riding School swag page. So Champ U hat, very handsome. For those of you whose foreheads are growing like mine, you can just cover that up pretty easily right there. Look at that. Looking young again, huh? Get my hair dyed right here, be perfect. So those will be on the swag page. Edward, you should get one, if you know what I'm saying. Where were we? Oh yeah, customer service. Have you heard of that? So this is the idea that we're teaching and we're doing. So when you show up at YCRS, any program we teach, the instructors are there just to help you. And that's a big part of what we did with Champ U. You'll see the instructors trying really hard. And we didn't pay these guys. We didn't say, hey, Kyle, Elena Myers is a big part of Champ U. Mark Schellinger is a big part of Champ U. Chris Paris, myself, Keith Culver's on there. We didn't say, hey, guys, show up, we'll pay you a lot of money. We said, show up because we got to change the world. And they did. They showed up and changed the world. Elena Myers came down with her daughter and her husband, and they hung out with us for a bunch of days shooting the stuff down at Indy. And I hear you, Jim. We've earned the gray, haven't we? We've earned all this, mostly from family wearing us out. But anyway, where were we? And so these riders showed up at Indy Motorsports Ranch, and we shot this for 5 days. And another person who put so much effort into Champ U that you'll see right away is Gray Pham. And Gray Pham is not only a buddy of ours, but a motorcycle rider, motorcycle racer. So he came in with a sense of passion for this stuff, and he is our shooter. He was our videographer and took care of all our stuff. We brought in a sound team from Tucson that Chris Paris arranged, and it was just this meeting of passion to get things changed, because we knew that if we could put this effort in, we could change your life. And we started to hear this now from people who have gotten this. We've started to hear from people who've gotten this Champ U. This is life-changing. I'm out doing these drills. I'm taking these quizzes. I'm learning a lot in the quizzes, because in every quiz we explain in writing what the right answer means. And this is what we're trying to do with what we're chasing, this customer service idea. And I think when you get Champ U, you will get serviced by us. And I know a lot of us have gone to restaurants where it seems like they're pissed off that we're there to eat their food, and you show up at a dealership and you stand around for half an hour waiting to get parts, and that's not the way it's going to be with us. And that's what Champ U is all about, is bringing you more than what you paid for. And if you think about Champ School, it's a $2,200 on average price tag, and we've been doing it since 2008, and we're sold out. Pit Race that we just pulled off had a 32 rider waiting list for Champ School, and that means that the quality is there and the effort by the instructors is there, because people are getting more than what they paid for. So if you bought if you bought Champ U and you like it, you're like, wow, I like how they do it. This makes a lot of sense. They're answering my questions, and you'd like to come to Champ School, we will take the price of Champ U off of your Champ School. So if you have bought Champ U and now you want to come to an in-person class, Champ Day, Champ Street, Champ School, we'll take the price of Champu off that, and that gives to this idea. We gotta serve people who are backing us and take care of them. So hope that makes sense. All right, so I know Alex Hatfield is on with us, and he's giving a lot of answers to a lot of the questions, which I appreciate that. All right. All right, good. Yes, Tom Dominic wrote in a very good point, Tom. He's a multi-time participant. He's a track day coach, so he's really into it. Club racer champion, so done well racing. Good job, Tom. And he says, you've tried other activities you would get training for. Why not on a bike? Isn't that a fascinating subject, Tom? So we're going to go skiing where we might break our leg. I mean, you could run into a tree. I know Sonny Bono died hitting a tree, and I know Michael Schumacher hurt himself pretty well skiing. So I guess you could kill yourself, but it's relatively low risk to kill yourself. But you might break your leg, so you get instruction to ride a motorcycle. And it gets us to a fairly important point, Tom, and I want to touch on it because I don't want to sound snotty, but I've come to not realize, but I have this theory. That's what it is. It's a theory. And see what you think about this, Tom. My theory that no training is better than poor training. How about that? If you're trained, if you've been told, do not use the brakes at lean angle, do not touch the brakes at lean angle. That's worse than thinking, boy, if I get in here too hot, I could sneak on some brakes because you've had no training. We have a lot of older riders show up at our school who are surprised new riders are being taught to not cover the brakes. In other words, new riders have been told to ride like this, and when a problem happens, reach to the brakes. And veteran riders who had no rider training, they taught themselves, learned to ride like this, covering the brakes. So in that case, poor riding instruction would be better than no riding instruction. So that's an idea. And what is poor riding instruction? That's everybody has their opinion. I have mine, but I'm not going to throw stones at other groups. I know everybody's trying as hard as they can. They're doing their very best based on the information they have. In our case, our information, I kind of just lost myself. Our information is based on this idea that the bike is designed. Everybody listen to this. Our information is based on two things. The bike is designed by expert riders. And that is quite an interesting, here's Tom wrote in again. Let me see what he says here. That's quite an interesting viewpoint. The bike is designed by expert riders. So, in other words, and this is something that we actually hire these expert riders. We hire Roger Hayden to come and teach for us. So when Roger Hayden won the 600 Supersport Championships, he flew to Japan to do wind tunnel testing with Kawasaki to be talked to about what did he do with the setup, because Japan, Kawasaki, was producing the next ZX6R based on Roger's input. So when we tell the students the bike is designed by an expert rider, we mean that they didn't walk up to a new rider and say, hey, Bob, heard you just got your license. That's great. Hey, where do you think our swing arm angle droop should be? What should our swing arm angle droop? What length should our swing arm angle? Where do you think our rake and trail numbers should be, Bob? Because you just got your license. They asked Roger Hayden, hey, where did you end up with rake and trail numbers? What did you do with spring preloads and all those things? And then put his setup into the next 6R. That's called evolution. And so that's our first point, is the bike's designed by expert riders. So riders, if you're hearing things that is different than what you're seeing on TV, if you're hearing someone teach you something that you don't see the Moto2 riders doing, and Moto3 riders, and MotoGP, and World Supersport, and Moto America, you might want to doubt that. You might want to come and search something else out, which hopefully will be us because we're based on that. And the second part of this idea is the motorcycle. Bikes designed by expert riders. And so when I go racing and when I go street riding, I ride a motorcycle every day. I live in Colorado. I think I ride a motorcycle every day. My wife rides a motorcycle every day, even if it's down to the mailbox. But we ride a motorcycle every day. Motorcycles are part of my life. She and I have 25 bikes, dirt bikes, motocross bikes, everything we have. So we ride all the time. If the bike's designed by an expert rider, and I'd like to enjoy and survive, the closer I ride to an expert rider's techniques, the better the bike will work. The more fun I'll have, the safer I'll have. Now notice what I said. Riders, I didn't say expert rider's speed. Speed has nothing to do with expert riding. What do the expert riders do to survive and thrive at the pace they need? And that means winning, right? Winning. When I go to Laguna Seca, I'd like to win. So I try to bring with me a group of tools that work at the limit when I'm going as fast as I need to go to win my class. So at that and survive it and have fun and get a trophy, and that's what I'd like to do for all you racers, all you track day riders. Speed is part of this equation. We'd like to be fast, but we've got to get home on Monday to our families, to our careers. So the closer you ride to the expert rider's techniques, the better the bike works at any speed. And that is trail braking, covering the brakes, jumping the eyes, doing the body, the mental preparation, all the things that we teach, not just at Champ School now, but at Champ U. If you just tuned in, this is talking about Champ U. And the second part of this idea, Champions University. Second part of this idea is pretty simple. The motorcycle has no idea where it is. And the tires have no idea where they are. So the motorcycle doesn't know if it's into a downhill left-hander second gear, Elkhart Lake turn 5, nor does it know if it's into a downhill left-hander second gear corner on your favorite road. It doesn't know whether it's approaching an intersection and needs to use the brakes in an intersection where it can be a little bit greasy and dirty, or it needs to use the brakes in the rain at Spa. Right? Everybody good on this idea? The bike has no idea where it is. It works poorly or it works well based on what we, the onboard engineers, do. And those two ideas have to hit you with the simplicity of what we teach. And we joke at the school. We joke at the school on the very first day, everybody's there, the students are there, they're all nervous and they don't sleep at night, and they're all, I hope this goes well, I hope I don't suck, I hope I'm not the slowest person here, hope I can do this, I hope I don't fall down, I hope. They show up there, they're super nervous, and the instructors are lined up, and they're all a bunch of badasses, and they're really fast, and they're pretty famous, and everybody's and so very early in the morning I'll stop and say, look at these instructors, look at them. And everybody looks at the instructors and they're all standing there, and I say, you can all tell these riders are not smart, but they're very good riders. And everybody laughs. It breaks some of the tension, but the point is, this is not a complicated sport. It's very difficult. It is not easy. It might be one of the toughest things you do in your life, but it is very straightforward. I promise you it's very straightforward. And we laugh. We say, these instructors, they're not very smart, but they're really good motorcycle riders. Of course, a lot of them are insanely smart. Thank goodness. I've hired very, very good people. For you bosses out there, hire the best people you can get. It makes you look pretty good, and that's what's happened with us. I've hired some incredibly good people all over. You'll meet them when you come to the school. You'll meet them when you watch Champ U. But it gets back to this point that the bike is designed by expert riders. It works well or poorly based on what we do, and it has no idea where it is. It has no idea where it is. So for you all to talk, we've had people write in, oh gosh, especially years ago, this has really changed. Oh, Jose Nunez, come to the Ridge in Washington, please. Jose, we're there at least once a year. We team with Track Time up there. Alan, Ken Hill, all Jen up there, all that group and up there. We have a lot of 3Cs at Track Time, including Ken Hill, one of the main guys of YCRS back in the day. So you'll get great instruction with Track Time, and we're there at least once a year. So please check into that. And Tom, Dominic, do these techniques work on motorcycles, dirt, street, track? That's a great question. It kind of gets to what we're talking about here, Tom, this idea that the bike is designed to work a certain way. Radius equals miles per hour. 100 points of grip, right? How we maintain grip, how we break grip, and how we live within grip is a big thing. The mental approach is huge, whether you're ready to go supercross racing or whether you're ready to go for a street ride with your friends. The mental approach is huge. And then this umbrella of direction idea, it's a big thing. And I know that for a fact because we've had some insane motocross racers come to our school over the years, and dirt trackers, Jeremy McGrath a couple times, Johnny Lewis a couple times, and big fan of what we do. McGrath, gosh, all these motocross riders. And McGrath really went through some really cool things with the students, because so many people will say, oh, never touch the front brake on a dirt bike. And McGrath, like, no, we're using the front brake all the time. We're using them trail braking, all those things. So Mr. Dominic, yeah, it really does go hand in hand all across the board. The one big change that Jeremy worked with, and boy, bunch of these motocross riders have been to our school, world champion motocross riders, and been to our school. The one thing that they really have to change, and they struggle a little bit with, well, two things actually. One is body position. Motocross bikes will sit up on top of them. We want them to break grip, and that's the second one, is not breaking grip with pretty quick aggressive movements. We'll pick that throttle up pretty quick to snap the rear on to finish the bike's steering, and on street bikes we creep over the edge of grip to finish the bike steering off the corner, sliding off the corner at a very high level. So those are the two things that these motocross riders worked with: body position and maintaining grip, be a little smoother. But yeah, it's all across the board in our opinion, and our opinion based on these ideas. Bikes designed by the best in the world, and it doesn't care where it is. And this will help so many of you in some of these discussions. You'll get on these discussions. When I used to write about trail braking on cycleworld.com, I don't know if you all know that. I do a weekly column on cycleworld.com. It's called iNotch Tuesday, and it comes out on Tuesday. And iNotch Tuesday, Cycle World grabbed me years ago, 5-6 years ago, and say, hey, Nick, why don't you just write about anything that's happening in your motorcycle life? And so I've written stupid poems. We've done videos. We went racing. Mark Schellinger and I went racing on a Tracer GT. We did a video for Cycle World with Coupe de Ville. So we just all this fun stuff. So iNotch Tuesday, but most of my stories are about riding technique. So tune into that. I just did a 6-part series on the biggest mistakes and the fixes to what we see at track days. So all you track day riders, all you who are track day curious, jump on cw.com, cycleworld.com, iNotch Tuesday, and you can go through the last 5 weekends, 6 weeks of those iNotch Tuesdays, and share them with your friends, share them with the track day people. It's gotten to be a big deal. And I wrote about my racing. It'll come out today, about my racing at Laguna, and what a great time I had there. So there's a lot of cool stuff out there in this world of YCRS, and get on our YouTube channels, do as much as you can, because you'll start to see the sport is very simple. So years ago, when I started to write about trail braking, people would write in and say, man, you are insane, you're an idiot, you're a fool, you're talking about these high-level track techniques, and you're going to kill people doing this. And those comments have been drowned out by people, frankly, by people like Dave Leamer, right? Dave Leamer, some of David Bober, some of the people who are a part of YCRS and big into YCRS. AJ Ciampa has been a big part of that idea of drowning out the people that are saying it's different. It's different on the track. It's different on the street. There's a level of application to the same techniques, and that's a great saying. I think that's AJ talks about that a lot. Level of application. A new rider's level of application will be different than expert level road racers, but we should still tip into the corner with our brake light on. Tip into the corner with our brake light on. Why? Control your speed, but also geometry and contact patch. And this is the simplicity of the message in Champ U. Champ U. Everybody jealous of my Champ U hat? Go to our swag page. I'm selling hats now. The simplicity of our message, and how we get down to it. And it's something that gets to a comment someone had a couple times, but it was a group. Who was this? It was a military group, track. I think it was vet to track group. And Jim had said this to us last month, and I'd heard it before. And Jim said, "Listen, guys, we're getting with you. We're getting with Champions Riding School because I got on the internet and I couldn't find anything negative about you." And I'm not saying we haven't done things wrong, and I'm not saying we haven't screwed up and missed people and done a bad job, because we have, and we will again. We'll make that mistake, but the fact that we're trying to be the best is the point. Not that we are the best. None of my guys say we're the best. We say we're trying to be the best, and that means the best customer service to reach every rider. So Jim had told us on the telephone 2 weeks ago, he said, "Listen, I'm with you guys. I'm getting with you guys because I can't find anything negative about you on the internet." And that points to this idea that we can reach all riders. And if we can't reach all riders, I tell my staff it's something we're doing wrong. It's not an intellect issue with the rider. It's not an understanding with the rider. It's an explanation with the group. So if we can't reach a brand new rider, and if we can't reach an expert level road racer who wants to go Moto America racing, then we got a problem. And that's been a big thing. And I know we just had a pretty amazing student come to our school. His name is Dr. Charles Williams. A lot of you have probably seen him in magazines, on TV. He's 65 years old now, but back when he was younger, he was a Mr. Universe. First of all, Mr. America, and then Mr. Universe. And that came after winning the World Championship in martial arts. Also got a couple of doctorates in how we learn things and brain usage. So Dr. Miller shows up, had never ridden a motorcycle, never touched a motorcycle. And he's like, "Hi, I'm here to learn to ride a motorcycle," which has happened a couple times at Champions University, at YCRS, where riders show up brand new and never learning how to ride. And I told Chip Spalding, who was one of our fantastic instructors, I said, "Chip, if we can't get Charles Williams, if we can't get Dr. Williams rolling, not just in a parking lot but on the track by today, we really don't have a very good program." And Chip's like, "Yeah, you're exactly right." So Chip gets him out there, starts him on a scooter, gets him smooth, gets him idea and 100 points of grip, gets him understanding radius is a mile an hour, a little bit of body adding in there, getting the eyes going. And for the next 3 days, Dr. Williams cruised around the racetrack with us. So everybody, this is what we're chasing at Champions University. This Champ U idea, like, man, we got to come in at a level that helps you quick riders. I know some of you riding in, right, winning club championships, and you're doing track day stuff, you're teaching track day stuff. And yeah, here's Kishore wrote in, completely agree. What did he write here? Completely agree with you on riding closely to an expert rider. Spot on. Thank you, Kishore. That's the message. And some of you are maybe hearing this message for the first time. When's the 2022 schedule coming out? Jose, coming out pretty soon. I think we're going to have it out in the next couple of weeks. And of course, we added, I don't know if you knew this, but we added to our schedule this year, late in the year, because we had such demand. We were sold out. I think we added 3 more venues and got another 70 riders through our program due to that. All right, Jackie wrote in, I used the techniques I learned last night on Champ U, I think. I was coming around a corner and a car came completely to a complete stop in front of me. My fingers were on the brake and I was able to come to a complete control stop mid-corner. Let me read that again. I was able to come to a complete controlled stop mid-corner. The 2-day course is in my future. Jackie, we appreciate that. That is not, obviously, I don't know Jackie, but she bought Champ U, and she came into the corner with her fingers covering the brakes, stopped her bike mid-corner because a car stopped in front of her. And everybody, you could be laying in the hospital, Jackie, and say, "Yeah, the car stopped in front of me. It wasn't my fault." And everybody would say, "Yes, gee, you were a victim circumstance." And what they would hear is say, "Don't ride a motorcycle because you're going to be a victim circumstance. You're going to come around a corner with a car stopped and you're going to hit the car and put yourself in a hospital, so don't ride a motorcycle." When in fact, the message should be, don't ride a motorcycle with the improper technique. Jackie, watch Champ U. We didn't set this up. This is not the way we're going to be ever. We're never going to set things up to prove that we're right or wrong. It's just this is just a real honest to good comment that came in here at the end of our show. And Jackie wrote she watched Champ U last night. We insisted that you ride like this. We insist that you don't come in the corner, use the brakes, come off the brakes, and go like that. Unless you're on a racetrack with no surprises. And even then, we've got some instances, especially in traffic. If you're on a racetrack and you come into the corner, you've got a rider right ahead of you, you come in the corner, and you come into the corner, come in, and you come off the brakes, and you leave your fingers up. When they miss a shift on the exit, you've got your fingers up, and you can pick your brakes up and miss them. So even on the racetrack, track day riders, try to not come off the brakes and put your hand back around the throttle. And Jackie heard this, and she put it into play, and she is not hurt today or have a super close call. So this is wonderful. Everybody, my name is Nick Einach, and I'll wrap this up. But in back in the day, in I think 1995, I was asked to start a school at Willow Springs because I was #1 plate holder at Willow Springs, and we started the school. And guess who I hired? All the other #1 plate holders: Andy Milton, Steve Michaelis, Lance Holst, Jason Black, I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but I started it with this group of absolutely insanely good motorcycle riders, and we just taught what did we do to win these championships, and that's what we taught. And it was this idea that Champions Riding School has come into, and then Freddie Spencer hired me in 1997 to help him start the school, and so I was at the core of Freddie Spencer, wrote the curriculums. He and I are friends, always will be friends because of what we did. That lasted for 12 years. When Freddie quit the school business, Yamaha called us up and said, "Hey, you guys are killing it. We're going to back you with YCRS." That was 2008. That was me and Ken Hill, Mark Schellinger, Chris Paris, Shane Turpin, George Grass, Scott Russell. We came on to YCRS. That group has morphed into what you're seeing now: Champions Riding School, Yamaha Champions Riding School, with this new product called Champ U. And it has just been launched, and we are seeing our dream come true, and that is reach more people in less time. For $50, Champ U is available to you in your house. It's hours and hours of riding technique videos interspersed with quizzes and drills. We hope it changes your life, because I'll finish with this. If we can improve riding instruction, thus improving riding safety and enjoyment, we can grow our sport here in America and the world. Nick Einach, Champions Riding School, Champ U. Appreciate y'all calling in. It's a dream of mine with what we're doing with this group. Thanks.